Hello everyone, welcome to Coach to Transformation CCEU webinar. I'm your host Chaitanya and I'm delighted to have you all here today. We are joined by Zsofia, a Master Certified Coach with over 8,900 coaching hours and extensive global leadership experience across 6 continents. She is known for her depth, clarity, and presence as a coach. Her approach brings together real-time awareness,
Anna Maris,
grounded
na, mész
intuition,
iskolába hónap.
sorry for that, grounded intuition, and a profound ability to partner with clients in moments of transformation. In today's session, she offers us a rare opportunity to witness MCC level coaching live as she works with a volunteer client in the real time. We're thrilled to have her with us today as she leads on into a session of coaching in action. And we also have one of our CTT participants, as part of our community, Mr. Rohan, who will also be volunteering as the client in this webinar. So over to you, Zsofia.
May I
Thanks,
just come
Chuck.
in for a minute? Thank you, Zsofia, and thank you, Rohan, for doing this. The rest of us who are observing, please note that this is coaching in action. So confidentiality and everything applies. Please keep yourselves on mute while this uh, action is going on. All right. Thank you so much. Please, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation, Chaitanya and Madhuri, and I really appreciate your flexibility in organizing this an hour earlier than usual. I'm based in Australia. Originally, I'm Hungarian, so it's later in the day. And I really appreciate Rohan for your courage. And as Madhuri said, that this is a confidential session, and as you know, it is recorded, so we will check in at the end that are you okay to keep the recording and potentially share it beyond today's space. Is there anything else I need to know before we dive in that you need from me from this space?
No, I think I'm just looking forward. I already have your formal introduction, Zsofia.
Okay.
Saying your name is Zsofia?
Yes, Zsofia. Zsofia in Hungarian,
Zsofia.
Zsofia in English.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. So, given this, we have about half an hour or so. Rohan, what did you have in mind for our session today to focus on? And this is a one-off session in a way. So, as you know, it's but we will contain it to something meaningful.
Yeah. So I have a very real issue I'm dealing with, which I wanted to bring out. I had in fact thought of something which I said I'll reserve it for this session. So I'm going to bring that up now for discussion. So I am a bit of a nocturnal animal, which means a lot of my thinking part of the brain, activity, creativity, all of that spurts up in the nighttime. It is post dinner that I then end up spending a lot of time either going on YouTube or I spend up doing something creative. I write poetry, so sometimes I write poetry then. It's all of that. But I'm also struggling with my sleep. And I just know how important sleep is for one's health. It is for me, certainly. And so I'm stuck in this weird dichotomy of I want to get my sleep. I want to sleep on time. But the time in the night is also a very important time for my own self. It's a time I give to myself. And so I really struggle with managing my sleep cycle versus finding time for myself, which happens to be that I'm a nocturnal animal. All my creative wires end up getting activated only in the nighttime. So I get stuck in this dichotomy, and I know I'm struggling with this for a while. And you can take all the supplements in the world, but I think this is boiling down to just lifestyle ultimately. So this is something I want to talk about.
Well, thank you for sharing, and I really appreciate the awareness already that you have around this, that it's something you want to resolve. And then you also summarize it, it's lifestyle.
Yes.
So say more about the lifestyle you you want to have?
I want to have a lifestyle where things are harmonious. And what I mean by harmonious is that there isn't a perfect balance. I think to find perfect balance in the day is a bit of an illusion, because then you're trying to somewhere control the external situations that you are a part of, which you can't. But what I mean by harmony is that you have a feel-good factor about whatever it is that you're doing. So let me give an example. I love the time I spend late in the evening, late in the night, working on something creative or watching something very, very knowledgeable on YouTube, for example. But when I get up in the morning, I don't feel fresh. So I know one aspect of my lifestyle is healthy because I'm enjoying that time in the night. But another aspect of my life, when I get up in the morning, I don't feel fresh. I feel I want to sleep more. But you also have to get along with the day. So if I study my lifestyle, there are aspects of my life where I'm working, spending time with friends or family, which I feel very good about. And some habits I have, like I try to do 10,000 steps every day. I try to walk every day, 10,000 steps. I like that. So there are parts of my life which I feel very good about. And then there are parts of my life I don't feel good about. Example, when I get up in the morning, had I felt fresh, honestly, maybe I would have not brought this up in the coaching conversation. But the truth is, I don't feel fresh. And I know somewhere I'm depriving my body of sleep. And thus, for me, good lifestyle is you feel good throughout the day. There is this equanimity inside you throughout the day.
So you mentioned a lot about what you have, how is your lifestyle now? So what's emerging for you? What seemed to be the most important or most pressing in a way to explore, given we have this sort of half an hour?
I think what I want to figure out is what can I do to balance my creative and knowledge-seeking pursuits with good sleep. If there is a hack, if there is a way where I can achieve both, that's what I'm looking for.
What do you think? Is there a hack?
I think it boils down to knowing the limits of both. If both are stretched to the limit, one will eat into the space of the other. So both are valid. Both can be a part of my day practically every day. And sleep absolutely has to be every day. Otherwise, there's a problem there. But you should not allow one to eat into the time of the other.
What's the should about?
Sorry?
What's the should? You said one shouldn't eat into the other. So what's the should?
Okay. What's the should? I think it should be such that when you are enjoying this activity, especially the knowledge-seeking activity or sometimes it's creativity, I think it has to be more intentioned than what it is currently. Because when I look at my desire to get more knowledge, get more me time, sometimes it goes from getting more knowledge to doom scrolling. And you're not able to segregate between the two, which means you start with getting knowledge and then you don't know the point at which you randomly start YouTubing or you randomly start Instagramming, and then it's no more knowledge seeking, it's just whiling time away. And so the should here means you should know where to draw the limits. And that will only happen if you are more intentioned in the way you go about seeking that knowledge. So if I have 30 minutes with me, I'm going to do something very meaningful with this time from a knowledge point of view. But what I should not be doing is just another half an hour, another half an hour, another half an hour. And then before you know it, it's 12 a.m. Before you know it, it's 12:30. And then if you have to get up at 6:30 in the morning, it can be painful. I'm just stuck in this
And then
very
it
bad
impacts your,
pattern.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then it impacts, as you said, your life, your day, your energy.
Yes.
You feel
Yes.
tired.
Absolutely.
So when I asked you a couple of minutes ago, what do you want to really work on? You said that what can you do? And is there a hack? So what's emerging?
That the semantics are less important. You can call it a hack or whatever, but ultimately it boils down to discipline.
Mhm.
It boils down to micro habits. For example, I'm a coffee lover, but coffee after 7 p.m. is not a good idea.
Mhm.
So these are micro habits. You love coffee, but you should know when to not have it, for example.
So then from being nocturnal to what can you do to now it's having the discipline to
Discipline to fulfill the promises you make to yourself. If you say, I'm going to spend 1 hour watching YouTube, then it's 1 hour, not 1.5. If you say, I'm going to get up at 7 a.m., then it's 7 a.m., not 7:30. And that, like a wise man has once said, do hard things every day. So that hard things ensures you don't slump into the comfort zone. So discipline simply becomes keeping the promise you make to yourself every day.
how do you feel saying that to fulfill the promise?
I feel good and empowered in a strange way. That it's actually that simple. That simple and that difficult, depending on which side you are on.
So then if we and what you, I think you did say a couple of things around this discipline that it's a promise. Is there anything else that it means to you to fulfill the discipline, fulfill the promise? Is there anything else that you would describe it for yourself?
Yeah,
What does
so
it
I would
mean?
also link discipline to feeling good after it. So discipline, I feel, is a lot like exercise. You may not feel very good while you're doing it, but you feel very good after it. So incidentally, I'm on a nutrition plan, which is currently challenging my dietary palate, and it's quite constrained at the moment. There are times during the day I struggle with it currently, but in the night when I'm going to go to sleep, I feel like a warrior who has won because I didn't give in to all the temptations I saw around me. So what that means is discipline in a strange way makes you feel good. And I'm just linking it to the feel good part I said at the start of the conversation. Discipline makes me feel good after it has been followed. And that's the tricky part. While you're being disciplined, it's not very enjoyable. But after you have followed discipline and you look at yourself, you're like, okay, I'm proud of myself that I could do it. So it's, yeah, that kind of completes it for me.
So then if we explore this keeping your promises and having a discipline, what are you hoping from this conversation?
Then I'm hoping that I get my version of it practically in terms of how I want to implement this, the combination of discipline, um, keeping one's promise to oneself, and feeling good about it, that what you promised, you've actually done. How to practically make this a reality in my life and my lifestyle, particularly in a manner which is sustainable, in a manner which doesn't stay for a day or two, but it becomes a new lifestyle in a way.
So what would this new sustained lifestyle give you?
The new sustained lifestyle will make every day count. And somewhere I feel, sleep, and this is one instance of it. But largely, there are many moments during the day where I think I could do a better use of my time. So a new renewed lifestyle will just create new renewed me. And I will feel, like I said, I will feel like the warrior who every day goes to bed with this happiness that it was a give and a take, it was a tough day, but still I won. So yeah, that feeling of I could sustain, I could win, the promises I could make to myself, I could keep it. That the feeling that gives you is a very rewarding feeling.
So what qualities does this warrior need to have who wins at the end of the day?
I think the quality of firstly being very authentic, somebody who lives by his values, somebody who follows his passion, knows that time is limited, so you only have so much. And if you have to do something, go out there and do it. Don't live in the mind, do it. Third, the one who shows up, or a promise that one is making to oneself. And last but not the least, a person who ultimately does not lose the softness of his heart. So you may be a warrior externally, but you need to be a good human being inside. So be a warrior on the outside, but a good-hearted human being on the inside. And that good-heartedness, do not lose in all of this.
So what needs to happen today for you to have this?
I think the starters just take the one area of your life where this issue is the most prominent. And I think that area I already pointed out, which is my balance between my desire to get good sleep and rest versus my desire to pursue knowledge and be creative. And the one thing I can do is make two promises in either of the two areas. And then the whole warrior part comes in by sticking to that promise. If I'm saying something about my sleep, that I will do this, then I will do it. And like I said, it will not be pleasurable because that's the nature of discipline. When you pick up a disciplined lifestyle, by following it, it's not very pleasurable. But once you have followed it and you look back, that's when you feel good. It's like the body releasing endorphins after an exercise and you feel good, but not during. During it can be painful. So yeah, it is those promises I make to myself in those two areas of my life in order to regain some balance, some harmony between those two things.
So then how is harmony and being a warrior connected?
Harmony and being a warrior coexisting.
How
right?
is it connected? Yeah.
Yeah.
If at all. Like it doesn't have to be, I'm just wondering.
Okay. No, so it will coexist because it is somewhere my belief that we have been given a life. We have been given a life to be active, to fight battles, and the battles may not be outside, the battles can also be inside you. We are meant to be fighting these battles because inherently life will have situations where you struggle, where you will have to go through some strife, you will have to hustle. All of these things happen in everybody's life. I will be no exception to that. The harmony part comes in is if you're truly at peace inside, you can consistently be the warrior outside. But if you're not at peace inside, the aggression of a warrior can sometimes do more self-harm than be a genuine warrior. And you end up hurting yourself. Example, you have anger which is uncontrolled and you don't know how to channel it. The anger can destroy you. Needless to say, it can also destroy your relationships and your family and all of that. So what I'm trying to say is the warrior part is great, but it can only be sustained and channeled in the right direction if there is harmony inside, which ties in back to the part of being good-hearted, being centered. Actually, good-hearted is still it gives it the quality. The real what I want to say is being centered. If you're centered inside, you can be a warrior outside. And centering oneself inside is a harmonious experience.
So what connections are you making here? Or what's
Making
becoming more
connections
clear?
between the discovery of oneself and centering oneself in that, to how it feels to be true to yourself and always connected to yourself, which is the place of harmony. And then that becomes the source of going out there and getting what you have to get. And that means sometimes you got to be a warrior, you got to be a warrior. Sometimes you have to be hard on yourself, you have to be hard on yourself. But you have to be hard on yourself. But you don't have to become hard-hearted from inside. And that is really the dichotomy, because I have seen this with a lot of people who are very disciplined. At least in my life, I've encountered such people. They are disciplined, but they become rigid. And I think there is a fine line between being disciplined and being rigid. And that sometimes happens because if you have a hard schedule for yourself, that's fine. That may be the need for the hour. But you don't have to become hard-hearted. Your heart has to be soft. You can be tough from the outside. So it is this dichotomy that I think I struggle with, and I think many human beings also struggle with this.
Okay, so then where shall we start exploring? You said creative, it is very important. You said also knowledge is very important. You want to
Yes.
sustain this. So where shall we start exploring for you to have your own version of becoming a sustained you?
I think it starts with just understanding, firstly, what is the role that each of them play in my life. For example, sleep is a bit of a no-brainer. Sleep gives me rest. I feel well rested. And sleep, if it's up to my sleep has a certain cycle. If it's in India, it's very common for people to sleep by 10:30, 11. I know there are countries where people sleep even earlier, but 10, 11 is okay.
Rowan,
I
your
may not even
internet,
get
or
sleep
I don't hear.
sorry. Am I back?
Yeah, you are back. You were talking about sleep and in India, and then it just
I was
became
saying
a
that in
bit
India,
choppy.
it's common for people to sleep 10:30, 11, sometimes even later than that. It's common for for people to sleep till late. For me, if I don't sleep by 10:30, 11, then I may not even get sleep till 1:30, sometimes 2. It's just insomnia sets in because your mind becomes active and then sleep doesn't come. So sleep is a no-brainer. I think as far as my knowledge seeking is concerned, I have to be way more disciplined here in terms of how much do I have to seek versus how much do I have to give back. Knowledge seeking mean not just mean starting your YouTube and seeing videos. That's great. That's knowledge seeking. But it can also mean writing something about a topic that you know. Writing is one of my interests. So I want to spend more time writing, but this is the time probably I can do that. Journal something, open a diary, journal something. Think of an article that you want to write about that. Any creative pursuit. I sometimes write poems. This is a time to write poetry. So I think even in knowledge, there is a seeking and there is a giving. And if you only seek knowledge, sometimes it's hard to classify when does that knowledge seeking become doom scrolling. Because you are going on and on and on. You're just like a consumer. You're consuming. You're consuming. You're consuming. You're consuming. How much of what you've consumed are you really retaining? And if you ask that question, optimally, today I'm doing 60%. If I listen to content 100%, 60% maybe I'm retaining, 40% I'm not. It's just too much that I'm feeding my brain, and not everything goes inside. So it means I need to balance that time between seeing something on YouTube, that's fine, but then coming to my desk and doing something about what I have now, putting that to some kind of expression. And there has to be a balance even there.
So who do you need to become then to be able to do this? To have this balance, keep the
I
balance.
need to be able to become a creator. Somehow this word just impulsively or instinctively came to me.
Creator of what? Creator of what?
A creator of some kind of expression, art, which carries my stamp, which carries what I really want to say, or which carries maybe sometimes the essence of the knowledge that I have, but to put it to use, put it out there in the world. So when I say it carries my stamp, what I mean is I believe everything in this world is unique and also not unique. It's unique because you are doing it for the first time, so you bring your flavor to it. But it's not unique because who can truly say I'm original in this world? We are all inspired by somebody or the other. So for me, creative is not in the sense to be radically original. Maybe one can't be that. But it is to really put my flavor, my essence of what I've understood here, to put it out there. And that is as much creative pursuit as watching YouTube or listening to your favorite songs or consuming, just being an idle consumer. In the latter, you are an active participant, and there's a give and take. Whereas in just being a consumer, watching television or whatever, you can just become a doom scroller and a idle consumer, and then that starts whiling your time away. I said then that starts whiling your time away. You don't know when is that optimum balance, when you have to stop. You don't know when to stop.
So how can you bring more of this creator to life, into your life?
So I think the word creator at a very fundamental level is not even about creating art or creating any of that. It's the creator of experiences. How do I want to experience this moment? So I think creating should not start with this bombastic note of what are you creating? What is it, a piece of art? Creating is this very moment. How do I want to feel? And if I choose to feel in a more accepting or a more grateful frame of mind, as against a complaining frame of mind, the creating actually starts here. The creating need not start with only a piece of art or some very interesting article you're writing. It can start with, how do I want to feel this very moment? And each moment can actually give you an opportunity to become a creator of your own life. Yeah.
So you said you want to have more experiences as a creator, and you also said you want to feel it.
Yes. That's
So
right.
where will you feel it?
Oh,
in your body maybe, or in, I guess it's not a question I normally
No,
ask, but this is what's coming
So,
up.
of course, sensations are, of course, there. I feel it at different points of time, but whenever I have felt deep emotions, it has always been on the heart, especially the left side of the heart. This is where I feel it the deepest. So yeah, whenever I have encountered something which has been awe-inspiring, I have usually felt it here.
Can I share something
Sure.
that's coming up?
Sure.
As you were talking about your heart, and you were even identified your left, like your voice softened. I don't know if you noticed that.
Sorry, as I did that, what did you notice?
Your voice softened.
Oh, softened. Yeah. Yeah, not surprising for me. It must have.
Mm.
It must have. Yeah. So I think this is all tying back because if you remember, we spoke about having a good heart, having not losing the softness of the heart.
Mhm.
I don't see these two things as paradoxical. You can have a soft heart, a good heart, and you can be very tough on the outside.
Mm.
Uh, and in a sense, we have gone way beyond the outcome in a way, but in a sense, this is the secret to a good life,
Mm.
to be able to retain this balance of a good heart inside, but you have to be tough on the outside because life is not necessarily always, going to be a bed of
Mm.
roses. It will have its challenges. It will have its moments of testing and despair. So you have to
Mm.
fight those things, but you do not have to lose touch with yourself.
So as we explore this, how will you keep in touch with yourself to be able to, again, be that creator that you identified a couple of minutes ago?
Yeah, I think one of the techniques that has worked for me, I've read quite a few books on this topic as well. Philosophy is a subject of interest, so I've read probably all the major world religions and philosophies. One of the interesting things that this the Sufi poet Rumi has said is
Mhm.
what you seek is seeking you,
Mm.
which means you think you have to find the center within you. But what Rumi is saying is you already are at that center. You just have to look at it and acknowledge it, that you are that. So it's not that here's the center and you're somehow finding the center, your place in it. You're already there. You've arrived. You're already home. And it's just that you forget that you're already home. So essentially, all of this is going to be an exercise in self-remembrance. Remembering you're already home, which
Mhm.
means the moment you are in stress, strain, strife, just remember you're already home. And then from that new emerging consciousness, all actions that you do again get aligned. So even if you get
Mm.
misaligned for a while, don't be too harsh on yourself. That also happens. That's again a part of life where you make a promise, but you don't keep it. But again, come back, center yourself. And you center yourself because you're already at the center. And particularly, Rumi has played a big role in shaping my mind and my life. So I love what he says. What you seek is seeking you. You're already there. You just
Mhm.
don't know it. So if you remember and you know that you're already there, you can always center back in life, no matter how bad your life gets.
Based on this exploration, what is emerging for you in a very succinct way that's seeking you, that you are seeking based on Rumi's quote?
What's seeking me really is the life that's lived here, but not outside.
Yeah.
The life that I'm imagining in my mind, saying, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, but it's all here. And what's seeking me is that life which is saying, what are you waiting for? Go out there,
And
do
what are you
it.
waiting for?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that's a rhetorical question because there's no real answer. It's just we give excuses for things we want to do, but we don't do. So don't have any profound answer. It's just the mind playing the excuse game of the 10 reasons I could not do something. But the truth is, there is no such reason. If you really want to do it, you should go out there and do it.
Okay, so if I can check in, like we have a couple of minutes or we are on time. So you said that you want to find your own version of a warrior and a renewed me. So I want to ask you, where are you at?
So actually, this conversation was very interesting, Zsofia, and thanks for holding space, because it started from sleep and an outcome around sleep and my creative pursuit, but it has in a very deep way moved into who I am and who I really want to be. And what it has done for me is it has shown me that the gap between intent and action is as long or as short as you want to make it. Um, and if this is truly understood, then obviously I can solve the lifestyle problem, but I can solve a million other problems in my life. Because in all of this, the common point is you are being centered in who you truly are. And the translation of intent to thought to action is smooth.
Mhm.
It's not getting stuck. It's not that intent to thought, there's a gap, thought to action, there's a big gap, and that then becomes frustrating. So if you're truly centered and you truly value yourself, then you also value the promises you make to yourself. And that means you will ensure this intent to thought to action gap doesn't get so wide that you start to feel non-authentic. You start to feel that you're cheating yourself. So you just have to remind yourself of this. And that's what really is coming up for me as I reflect.
So what are you learning then about yourself of who Rohan is?
I'm learning that Rohan is somebody who is very aware of who he is, what he wants. But often the distance between mind to action gets prolonged for various reasons. And he's even aware of that. He's even aware of the fact that it gets prolonged. He's even aware of the fact that in subtle ways, we give intelligent excuses to ourselves for why we can't do what we want to do. But what I am also learning about myself is that action is the best way. Action is the litmus test to tell us if you're really serious, if your life is really of value to you. Because a lot of people can say things that sound very intelligent, but between sounding intelligent to really meaning it, the litmus test is action. Can you live up to it? The one phrase that really sticks in my mind is, can you show up? Can you show up?
Can you show up to who?
Show up for yourself, not for anybody else. Yeah, if there is a God watching, he will also be pleased, but inherently show up for yourself first.
So based on this learning then, and as you said, to show up for yourself, and you said the litmus test is an action. So what are you committing to? Or what would you like to experiment with?
Oh, I would like to experiment with what I just said, bringing Rumi's quote to life, being in a place of self-remembrance all the time. And with that self-remembrance, looking at my day, my lifestyle, and every time I get lost in action, mindless action, not healthy action, mindless action, and I feel I'm draining myself, remembering that self-remembrance has to, like a Zen monastery where they just ring a bell to bring you back to awareness. That bell, that gong has to go in my mind to say, what are you doing? Come back.
Well, I really want to acknowledge you, Rohan, because you already have a metaphor of what can ground you and remind you
Yes.
of that, to go, be home, that you are at home and you really need to honor
Yes.
who you want to become
Thank
through
you.
this constant.
Thank you.
So what would be one word as we wrap up? And is this a good place to wrap up?
Mm-hmm.
What's one
Oh, the
takeaway
one word that
in
comes to mind is two words actually come to mind.
Mhm.
One is contented. I'm content at this moment. And also clarity. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really want to appreciate you for your courage, showing up, being very open, honest, and you have 86 or so people hearing it, so hopefully you will be able to commit to this.
Sure. Now I better do it. I have to.
Thank you
Now,
so
but
much.
it was a big thank you, Zsofia, for the way you really held space. And I could see, because I'm also in my own small way learning coaching, but I could really see how the conversation is jumping levels here from where we started to where we reached. So that's a huge learning experience for me. So thank you
Yes,
for
appreciate
creating the
it.
space where I could have this experience.
Well, it takes two to tango, so thank you so much for that. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Zsofia, Rohan, thank you so much. Thanks eternally grateful for this session. Zsofia, how would you like to take this further?
You're on mute, Zsofia. You're on mute.
Yes, thanks. So thank you so much for everybody. And yeah, Rohan, as you said that you noticed I guess I don't know what's the R, I don't know, whatever the word is here. And yeah, and for others as well, if you have any feedback or questions, happy to answer any questions.
Uh,
Rohan,
eh,
what stood
for
out
me to
for you
ask
as
you
you,
questions, Zsofia? Sorry, I didn't
yeah,
understand.
yeah, yeah, please.
No, so my question, Zsofia, is this I'm now asking not so much as a client, but more as a
Yeah,
pursuing
as a
coach.
coach, yeah.
Uh, how do you know when to shift gears? How do you intuitively know that you should not now play at this level, but you should take it to the next level, from activity to being, from being to even deeper? How do you know that?
I think that's always the intent in a way to bring it up. I call it
Mm,
the helicopter perspective
mm,
to the being. Who are you being? What values, qualities? I think as an MCC, this is what we are aiming for. And I guess
mm.
you were a very willing participant to exploring that.
Oh,
Yeah, and this is I think I played back to you that yes, it started with the sleep, but then like what else is important? Like I use this like it's a funnel that the client comes in and talks about all the things, and then trying to make sense of it, but also putting it back to the client, like what's coming up for them based on what they're shared. And then again, like out of that, what else is there? Like maybe that's the surface. And then as you explore deeper, as the client is talking more and more things are coming up. And yeah, just again, like you said, you want to, what can I do? And I could have easily gone with that, like, well, what do you want to be doing? But then it would have been very PCC-ish, I think. So this is like what else? Like what's coming up? What's the should about? And I think that sort of then went into a very different conversation.
yeah. So no, this is very insightful. So one question I have is one school of thought in coaching, which obviously is being taught to us, is don't lead the client.
Yeah.
Don't lead the client. Pick up from what the client is saying and put it back in a way. Keeping this in mind, I want to understand what is then the role of intuition for a coach. How intuitive should a coach be, or should a coach just use what the client is saying, put it back? Versus where should a coach use intuition as a tool?
Well, interesting question. And this is I'd have this conversation all the time with my students in the level 3 program that I run, that it's never either or it's like, it's not like you do 100 milli, water, flour, and you get an eggs and then you get a cake. It's always based on what the client is saying, what's coming up, and just in that moment trying to make some type of judgment in a way or decision, like which intervention will serve the client best. And I could have offered an intuition, and then I would have said that this is coming up for you. Does it make sense or not? And
Mm,
again, it's going to be up to the client to make that decision of whether that is useful, beneficial for them, valuable or not.
sure,
I don't
sure.
know
So
if
what
I
you're saying is it's
answered your
not an either
question.
or. It always kind of goes together.
Yeah. But again, if I have a very strong sensation about something, and you didn't really you only smiled once. You were very, and then when I think you really you said it as well. So then when I said that, oh, I could share an observation, like not an intuition, more of an observation that you are too much in your head. But then you also said something around that, and then we moved on. So it as well that how is what I'm observing, noticing, and as you move on, can I go back and share it? Does it going to make sense or not? So sometimes it's always being in the moment with the
Mm,
client rather than what have you said 5-10 minutes ago, or maybe I could have said that now because you're talking about knowledge, and I think you did we
yeah.
don't did go back to knowledge and creativity, and then we explored that. But if it would have, and then the warrior as well, because it was so meaningful metaphor to explore. So again offering it that you said warrior, what's important about that, and again you could have asked it in so many different ways.
Mm, mm, mm. So what I'm taking away from it really is the both go together, and you can be intuitive without being leading. For me, your conversation was a great example of that. You were very intuitive on many aspects of the conversation because you did go much deeper. But I also noticed that you did not use your own words. You were using my words, but to use intuition to go deeper. And I think that was quite magical.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Appreciate that.
So that is what I'm taking
Any
as the
other?
biggest takeaway from this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
You're a great client to do the
Oh,
demo with.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
So I'm going to remove the spotlights and allow everybody who's been
Yeah.
observing
Yeah,
come in.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
there we go. Um, all the observers, if you have anything to share and you want to come on camera, thank you.
Thanks for coming on camera. Lovely to see everybody. Smiles, faces. So what questions do you have? What have you noticed that makes you curious? Every question is a good question.
How do you be there without being? I think you were just very smooth, Sophia. This is Shobha here.
Hi, Shobha.
Hi. Yeah, I think you were like, as Rohan mentioned, so you were like very smooth in the process. It didn't sound as if you were leading, and the way the questions were asked, it didn't sound like most of the time, like I'm very early in the journey. I'm still at a ACC training level, still completing my last session. So for us, we are putting a lot of effort on that competency. Initially, it was like, how do I remove the I from the, conversation? And later we were like, when we had the mentor looking at every aspect of the competency, we were like, oh my God, am I going to be judged that way to remember all the competency? Am I going to do the coaching to behind my mind have the competency? Then somewhere I felt things were going out of focus. So now if I have to ask you as an MCC, I think a lot of things are different. But to keep that pace, and make sure that we are present and giving the space at the same time, when you get tempted to ask some leading question, how do we hold us back, and any tips you'd like to give on that?
I guess I don't know whether you will like this or not. It's practice, Shobha, more than anything.
Great. Sophia, I know we have long way to go, but anything else?
So, yeah, and I did sort of when we were discussing this with Madhuri and Chaitanya too, and I guess I did say that I might share like what is coaching for me, which I then forgot. But like when I'm meeting a client for the first time, or even say later in the session, if what I say is that coaching is a conversation focused on the client. And the metaphor that I personally use is that you are, dear client, you are the one driving the car. You are the holding the wheel. and I'm sitting in a car with you. So it doesn't really matter where you go. I'm not going to tell you this is too fast or too slow, or you have to turn off the third roundabout, or this is left, or you have to stop. I'm asking you question. How does this feel for you to go 150 miles per hour? Or how does it feel for you to go 20 miles per hour? I can say that again, I'm noticing my heart is beating so fast because of the speed. How are you feeling? So this is the conversation. And then because I use this metaphor, and again, this is, you know, take it, of course. So because I use this metaphor, I can go back, and I had many clients like session 4 and 5, and they still tell me, Zsofia, tell me what to do. And I say, remember the first session? Who is driving the car? I can't tell you. I can help you to figure out what's the best way forward. I can share resources, but more of the time, this is a conversation. And I guess, to be honest, did I had this conversation before becoming an MCC? Potentially not, but it does gave me, I guess, in hindsight, the courage that I can say it because that's my role to say it, and who not if and who will tell it if not me, because I'm the one sitting with the client in that moment or for those coaching conversations. Um, and yeah, you just have to be that firm or whatever the word is to my role is to help you. Your role is to drive the car and get you from A to B. You know, India is big, so you can use, you are in Delhi, where would you like to be in 6 months' time?
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Does it help?
So yeah,
Thank
I think you put it out voiced it very beautifully.
you. Thank you. Shabnam, sorry.
Shabnam, hi, good evening.
Shab
Thank you for
Hi.
a very amazing session. I really liked the way the conversation started with balancing the nocturnal efficiencies and moved to totally the person that he was becoming or realizing about himself. So it was a beautiful shift that happened. Um, just as an add-on, I want to know, and actually also this question to Rohan saying, at the end of the session, I also sense that I think you were quite moved with where you were, especially when you went on to Rumi and other stuff. But coming back to the uh, point you started off with, where does that feel now in terms of an actionable? I know the intention you talked about, but how are you looking at it now as a problem is a question that came up for me. And as an MCC coach, I mean, where do you think he would need support, or where do you think one could add support? Not where he needs, but where do you think as a coach one can add support to that part of it?
Sophia, you want to answer first?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'll go. Okay. So for me, Shabnam, you can look at it this way. For me, the problem got in a way resolved at the being level. The action part, I mean, deep down, as coaches, clients, we have played both roles multiple times, especially in the reciprocal coaching. The truth is, in most cases, we know what the answer is. So it's not that the coach helps you realize something you never realized. He brings just the light of awareness on something that you always knew. So for me, bringing discipline, being able to keep promises I make to myself are things I knew even before this coaching. What the coaching helped me, and which is why I really appreciate moving to the being level, is at my identity level, what is the blocker? It helped me identify that. Because if at that level the blocker is identified, then at action level, I know if I go off track, self-remember, bring the action back on track. If I go off track, self-remember, bring the action back on track. So now I know at an action level, I can handle it. And even if one day I cannot keep up my promise, I will not beat myself to death. That also happens. That's also a part of life where you make a promise which you can't keep. But that does not give you the license to now not keep the promise ever. It's one bad day, let it go, come back. So what I think the conversation did for me was it resolves the problem, the conflict for me at the being level. Because it resolved it there, resolving it at an action level is actually my job. It is not
Great.
so much the coach's job also. It's not she who's going to say, I'm following up with you. Did you do that? Ultimately, I'm accountable for my life. But what
Sure.
she did is she took me to the being level where I think the conflict that was there, the push and pull that was there, that got resolved.
Great to
I
hear.
hope I could
All the best.
give
Yeah,
some
all the best. No, I just
clarity.
want to know
Yeah,
what was going on. Thanks. All the best.
sure.
Do I need to respond to that, Shabnam? Like, I don't know what to say, to be honest,
No,
because
no. I
yes,
think no. I
Rohan.
think it's fine. This is. I just wanted to know if what were you thinking when you could see that shift happening in him, to leave the conversation and leave him with his thoughts. But I think it gets answered. That's fair enough. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks, Rohan, because yeah, I guess and most of the time it's true that we know what needs to be happening and there is something blocking us. So really identifying what that is. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate that it happened for you. Anita.
It was such a masterful display of coaching. I wish I could be this alert at close to midnight, I think it is for you. I don't have a question,
Thank
just
you.
an observation. Moving from analysis to awareness, I think at some point, very early on in the conversation, you asked a 4-word question, what's the should about? And I think that created such a big shift in terms of understanding where are these self-imposed shoulds coming from and what needs to shift in that. So thank you so much for such a great demonstration.
Thank you, Anita. And I guess what I try to sort of offer you as well, everybody, is that if the client is talking a lot of shoulds, then maybe ask, like, what's the should? Because generally the should it's a pressure word. And I know that, English is not my first language. But even if I ask this question from English speaker clients, when I ask, so what's the should, they realize that, yeah, it's me. I don't know, somebody else is putting on something on me, but I don't, it's not. I'm not owning it. I'm not the one. It's not that I can and want. It's yes, some pressure or external thing. So I think that was the big change. Thanks. Murali, hi.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much. That was very interesting. I like the
Mm.
metaphor that you said about the client is saying is going from 20 to 150 miles and your heart is going flat. I have always dreaded running into a client like Roshan. Rohan, uh, completely creative and can just go unbridled in terms of where he wants to start. And then not only was the clients switching speeds, but also started saying that I'm going to Delhi, but was heading towards Kanyakumari. And I really didn't know, I mean, how you're going to be actually holding the conversation together. But I think as a learning of course, I'm in the PCC journey. We were told that if ACC journey is about what you do in coaching, PCC journey is about who you are as a coach. And I think what I learned from your conversation is how do you get the client to see who that he as a person is? And that I think was a switch which actually held the conversation together. And all this while, I've been thinking only a what question can evoke a answer that the client will help the client. I found you beautifully asking this, saying that uh, how do you plan to achieve the balance? And it kind of opened up a completely new perspective, which in the normal case, open what question would have achieved. There were learnings at multiple levels. Sophia, thank you so much.
Thanks, Murali. Because I think the how is always goes to it's not going to be an
Action.
action necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. The what is an action. The how is it's more broad brush.
Sure. In the how here, I think triggered off a thought process rather than an action in Rohan. I think that was very interesting. I would never have expected that to gravitate that way. Thank you. Thank
And
you
then
so
because
much.
of the ask the how, and then if you ask the how question, and then the client talks, and then our role is like, what's emerging for you? What new insight do you have now that you heard yourself? So again, it's putting them making their own sense of the things, not us necessarily. And yes, there are moments as well that I need to summarize it or I need to give it back to checking with the client. But yeah, it's again a balance.
Yeah, and last but not the least, interestingly, the insight that you gave about the number of shoulds which come in the conversation, how do you put that to use? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Marie? I don't know, like, can we still go on, Madhuri, or do we need to, is this the last one? Just to make sure.
You can take the last one. I know
Okay.
it's late for you, so yep.
Yeah, thanks. Marie, hi.
Hi, Zsofia. Beautiful coaching. Thank you so much. Just an interesting question. Well, a question I'm interested. You said earlier on, what's the most important or pressing thing to explore in the half hour that we have? And then you asked maybe 5 or 6 questions. And then I was curious that you did it again. You said, if we explore this keeping your promises and having discipline, what are you hoping for from this conversation? So I'm curious about why you asked it twice. Did you sense something was shifting? Did you sense the first answer wasn't clear? You may not remember, which is also fine. I'm just curious.
I think there were actually 3 times that I asked, or yeah, like there was 3 layers to this conversation. Because the first thing the client says, it's never the thing. There is always something behind that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were
Because I
layering
guess
every
getting
time you asked.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Look,
I use the funnel, like, like starting big, whatever the client says, what, like maybe, yeah. But I also heard just on a different webinar today that the coach was using the iceberg model. Again, very similar, that whatever the client says, like, it's not visible because what is underneath is most visible. So again, whichever metaphor resonates with you. So, and again, I was just asking, I wasn't sure that is that going to be the topic. And I also sensed in a way that, he's smart, he's capable, he knows cognitively. So underneath there is something that's stopping him to fulfill these promises that he's making. And was actually that I didn't know where it will end.
thank you. Very nice.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Zsofia. Again, it's heartfelt